Today's guest is Australian mental health advocate Tash. Tash is a 25-year-old former Adelaidean living through the COVID-19 experience in Melbourne, which is currently in lockdown. Tash is passionate about promoting mental well-being and developing self-awareness to create a better life. Looking forward to the chat. Welcome to the Redesign Your Mind YouTube channel and podcast, where we have real conversations around mental health, self-improvement, and how we can find more meaning in our lives. I'm your host, Stefan Moralia. You can watch episodes here, or you can listen to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. The show and any video uploads are loosely inspired by my book, Redesign Your Mind, Tools and Inspiration for Positive Mental Health, which is available on Amazon, Kindle, iTunes, and Audible. Please refer to the description below for more information, including my socials, a disclaimer, and how you can get in contact with me. Thanks for watching and joining me on the journey to redesign your mind. Okay, Tash, thanks for joining me today. Obviously, a challenging time in lockdown, which we'll get into throughout the show. But yeah, how are you and what's things looking like at the moment?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, look, it's been pretty rough. I'm obviously in Melbourne at the moment, and yeah, we're just kind of getting to the end of our second lockdown with all COVID issues. So yeah, it's been a pretty long 6 months, to be
Yeah,
completely honest.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we had the first lockdown and we thought, yeah, we can do this, and it was all about, I'm going to stay at home and I'm going to clean my house and I'm going to get all these things done. And then, yeah, things started opening back up again and we had that taste of freedom. And then, yeah, we got locked back down again. And it was, yeah, a pretty strict second lockdown. I remember being at work when they announced the second lockdown and just getting in my car and just calling my mum and just bursting into
oh
tears and being
no,
like, I can't do this again.
no,
So yeah, it's been tough, but I guess you just have to think that there's a reason we're doing this, and we're pretty lucky to live in a country that will do this to protect us and the ones we love. So yeah.
yeah, and I guess yeah, we might as well get straight into it. I guess around the world, a lot of other countries and from people what I've heard that there's not really as much restrictions as what we've got here
Mm,
in Australia. I mean, I've got a friend that said um, they think that Australia is pretty much the only place in the world that you can't leave if you don't, if you want to leave, you pretty much can't. And it's very hard
mm,
to even get back in. So um, I guess building on that as well, um, being in Melbourne, just for those that don't understand, there's pretty much a full lockdown at the moment, and it's my
yeah,
understanding is that the curfew is you have to be home and pretty much in bed by 8 p.m. Not
oh,
allowed
yeah,
to go out and do anything. So to give some context as well, I'm from Adelaide, and that's where Tash used to be from as well. And in Adelaide right now, it's pretty much do as you please. Now,
yeah,
we do have to wash our hands and keep our distance and all of that, but there's currently no COVID cases at the time of this recording. But
mm,
so to give a bit of context, today I'm going to the football. Then tonight I can go out for dinner and a few drinks. Tomorrow I've got little kid's birthday party, and then I go back to work on Monday. So for people in Melbourne that have friends and family in Adelaide, it's very different. So I guess straight up, how are you finding living your life at the moment, knowing that you've got friends and family that can pretty much do what they want and you're stuck within your four walls?
yeah. It has been pretty tough, and I've had to kind of limit myself in terms of like social media and things like that, I've just decided that, you know, I'll check it
Wow.
once a day. But to be honest, it was really getting to me because I'd see, yeah, all my friends out catching up with each other, and I'm like, I haven't seen any of my friends for about 12 weeks now. Like, I'm not allowed to
Wow.
see anyone. So we've got, yeah, again, we've only got a 5 kilometre radius that we're allowed to go at the moment in Melbourne. So you're allowed to go for a walk with with a friend, obviously
Mm.
staying you're 1.5 meters away within your 5 kilometers. And I don't have any friends that live within 5 kilometers.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, like, you know, so it's super isolating,
Mm.
and I just feel like we're living in a completely different world to you guys around the rest of Australia. And it's, it's, has been tough to not feel almost resentful because you're
Mm.
like, gosh, everyone else is having such a good time, and then I'm kind of like sitting here and I can't do anything. And it's you get into those points where you just feel pretty down about it. And yeah, pretty hard not to compare yourself and what you're going through to everyone else. And yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that like all you guys and all my family are really safe and everything's, you know, and happy. But at the same time, you're like, oh, I just wish I could, yeah, be doing the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and obviously, so you're a mental health advocate, so you are
yeah,
aware of a lot of these challenges, and
mm,
you talked about isolation and comparing to others, and we're going to delve into that as well. But what
mm,
have you actively done then to, I mean, you've already said one thing, you've limited your social media to once a day, but what else
yeah,
have you found has helped keep you sane? And I guess even for those might not be COVID related later, it might be
mm,
other times where they're stuck and maybe they've, I don't know, done an injury or something, they can't leave, or they're sick or something like that. So, what have you actively done to help your mental health at this challenging time?
yeah. There's been quite a few things that I've, yeah, continued doing, I would say, or just intensified during this time. So I'm a big advocate for gratitude. I every night still write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and that's really helped get me some perspective as well.
Well done.
Um, and journaling and meditation and mindfulness has been really big. When we went into the second lockdown, I kind of got to a point where I was like, I think I need to talk to someone about this as well. So yeah,
Yep.
I sought some help for that too,
Well
just to
done.
have a chat with some other people, because I think, yeah, I have enough self awareness to know when I can handle things and when I can't.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have no shame in doing that. And you know, it was
Yeah.
only a few times, but it was just to get out just a few thoughts and feelings, and just realize that, you know, it's okay to feel this way. And I
Sure.
think sticking to routine has been really important for me as well. So still getting up and, you know, going for a run. We can't go to gyms, but you know, still getting some exercise in, trying to eat well. And obviously, I think the hard thing with social media as well is it's the only way that at the moment we can really connect with other people. And so it's been a really fine line between trying to limit myself on it, but then also using it so that I can still catch up with friends and family and things. So
Yeah.
yeah, trying to just balance those areas, but yeah, trying to do the things that I've already been doing, but maybe just a little bit more, yeah, intense
Yeah.
with them.
Well done. No, that is great. So you literally,
Yeah.
um, if you think of all the research, what you've done there is pretty much the best things you can do. Exercise,
Yeah.
getting help, trying to stay social as well. But
Yeah.
one thing I love that you're so open about, and even in my book, I talk about seeing a psychologist, and um,
Mm.
I call a psychologist a personal trainer for the mind. So
Yeah.
in I guess in sport we've got trainers and coaches and things like that, and with gym, someone might see a personal trainer, but soon as someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get help for my mind," there's this stigma that it's
Yeah.
something wrong with you, or that they're not really going to help. But now that I've experienced it myself. Um,
Mm.
I really think that really everyone should see a psychologist at some stage to at least start to develop those coping mechanisms. And
Mhm.
um, it's good talking with a friend and getting things off your chest, but these people are professionals that day in, day out see people, and they know the patterns and the things you need to change. And it might just be something small, like you said, but
Mm.
it's really something that I think as a society, and we had Are You OK Day recently as well. I think as society we're doing better, but I still think we have
Definitely.
a long way to go.
100%. And I always think like if you went out and broke your leg, nobody would, give you anything if you went and saw a doctor to, or go to the hospital to get that fixed. I'm like, why is it if we're struggling or have issues mentally that people won't go get the help they need? And I agree. I think that we're so much better than what we were, but there
Yeah.
still is this hang up about it for some reason where it's, you know, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm obviously a female, so I feel like we're a little bit better at being like, oh yeah, we'll go seek help. But for males particularly, for some reason it's still seen as this weakness, and it's not weak. I think everyone struggles at some point in their life with
Yeah.
things and mentally are challenged, because
Yeah.
it's life. Not everything's going to go perfectly and smooth run.
Yeah.
And so I agree. I think that it should be seen as something that you go and get a checkup. Like you go
Mm.
to the doctor and get a checkup. You should be able to go see, even if it's a counselor or a psychologist, and just get a checkup and just say, hey, you know, this is what's going on in my head at the moment, And often, I don't know about you, but anytime I've ever seen someone, I just end up snowballing and I just am often running, and suddenly all these things start coming out that I think, oh, I didn't even think I was thinking about that or worried about that. So I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's something that we really should be encouraging everyone to do at some point anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's that you're not being judged. And when you talk to a friend or, someone you trust, and you let that out, there's still probably a bit of that fear that you're holding a little bit back. Whereas when you see a counselor or a coach or psychologist, um, you know, they're actually there to help you with that, and that fear kind of goes away because it's confidential. Um, they're going to help you with it, and yeah, for me, I really hope that one thing that comes out of this COVID experience is that governments put more money towards
Mhm.
subsidizing mental health programs. And for me, I think the fact that I think in Australia, it's probably even harder in the US. You probably have to pay for everything. But in Australia, you have to go see a GP and sign up for a mental health plan and have check ins. Whereas it should be, look, if you're, anyone that pays taxes, or even if you don't,
Yeah,
even if you're on welfare, um, there's people for you to sign up to straight away. You literally book in, and it's covered by Medicare. Um, for me, like, it's such a stigma against doing it that it's not like everyone's going to rush to do it anyway. But the people that
exactly.
want to actually now have the opportunity, because I look at myself and I've got a job, and I can afford sessions if I want them, but I
Mhm.
still think, you know what, I only do it if I really need it. So I can only imagine what someone with, family, or if they're struggling financially, they're not going to sign up for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree that it's actually not as easy as what it could be, because yeah, and you get those 10 sessions, but I think you don't necessarily go and see one psychologist and click with them like
Mhm.
anything,
Yep.
and so you might have to try a couple out, and then you've used up 5 sessions, or
Yep.
and then by the time you've done that, you've only got a few more sessions left. And yeah, and I think often the subsidy isn't enough either. I mean, seeing a psychologist can be $150, and you're
Yep.
still having to pay out of pocket 75, $80.
Yeah.
As you say, for some people that's just not realistic to regularly do that. And it's really unfortunate, because I think your physical health stems from your mental health anyway. And so if we're focusing on actually looking after our mental health and how well we're doing there, we're going to look after our bodies better and we're going to have a better life. So why aren't we focusing on that? It's something that for some reason I think we have really mixed up in the health world.
Yeah, and like we said before, it is changing, which is great. We've still
Definitely.
got a long way to go, but it's because of advocates like yourself and what I'm doing as well that these things are getting out there and they're coming front of mind. And instead of being swept under the rug, they're actually people willing to talk about it now. So I think we're getting there. I've been in this space for probably, since I started even looking for myself, probably 5 or 6 years. And I think that stigma from when I first said to certain people that I had, anxiety and eventually depression, um, it was something that, I felt ashamed at the time that I was
Mm.
broken. And whereas now I feel like a lot of people are a lot more open about it. So we've got that first step done. Now it's okay, we've got to work on what can we do to change that framework and I guess redesign people's minds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I find that if you open up as well, you'll find that a lot of other people resonate with it and they realize, oh, okay, like I'm not the only one that's feeling that way and it's okay to feel that way too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think the more you talk about it and the more open you are about it, the more people connect with that and are going to become more willing to talk about that as well.
No, that's a perfect segue into what I was going to ask next because I do thank you because when my book did come out, we had never met face to face before, but we had, chatted on Instagram about mental health and things. And you were so open and willing to share your story and share photos with my book. And, that I was really grateful for that and really appreciated it for myself personally and for the mental health journey that I felt like what I was putting out there was one, helping people, and two, um, people actually, knew that more people need this help and they're happy to share it. So I'm grateful for that and thank you. But I guess why are you so passionate about mental health and why is this something that you're willing to put it out there so much?
Mm. I think, as I said, everyone is challenged at some point with their mental health. And as I've said, I've had moments where I've been, pretty challenged by it and been pretty down. And I've had lots of friends and family quite close to me that have had issues too.
Hmm.
And like we've said, it's just a case of being open about it and making sure that people understand that it's okay to feel this way. And I
Yeah,
think if we can all kind of get to the point where we look after our mental health and look after ourselves, like imagine the lives we all could live and the things that we could
yeah,
achieve if we were all at our best. And that's why I'm like, if I can help just one person to achieve that in their life, then that's great, kind of thing.
yeah,
So that's, yeah, I think for me, it's just, I've seen the things that I can do when I am at my best, mentally quite strong and feeling good about that. And so I think everyone has so much more potential where when you're, at your best mentally. So I think for me,
100%.
it's, trying to get that out there for people and knowing that there is support and, yeah, I I can't break your leg if you do that, but I can help you and ask you if you're okay if you're mentally struggling. And I think, as you said, we've just had Are You Okay Day. And I think every day should be a day that we feel like we can ask anyone if they're okay and, be a support for them. So,
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So, all right, I want to change gears a bit here and go
mhm,
into, we're obviously both young people. You've said for your bio that you're a 25-year-old former Adelaidean. So mid 20s. I'm now
Yeah.
early 30s, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
but still consider myself young. Why do you
Yeah.
mental health is such an issue for our generation? And even some of the older ones in their 40s and 50s are finding challenges, but I guess we're not as aware when we were growing up that they were facing challenges because it was swept under the rug. But why do you think our generation has more mental health challenges than anyone before us?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think these are things that you mentioned in your book a lot
Hmm.
as well, which I resonated with. And social media, as you said, is
Yeah,
huge. I think that it's great, but we're all only ever putting out our best
yeah,
on there,
yeah.
and so it's really hard not to compare your best, yeah, with everyone else's best as well. And so,
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you can be having a really rough day and you start scrolling on Instagram and it's like, why aren't I doing this? Why don't I look like that? So yeah, I think the impact of social media is huge on our generation, which yeah, our parents and grandparents didn't go through to the
Hmm.
extent that we have.
Yeah,
I also think, like you mentioned in the book, that our society and our drive for money and success is just huge now.
mhm,
We all just want material things. We've been blessed because we have such great access to everything and we can get such nice things whenever we want.
yeah,
And things that maybe our parents didn't have the access to or just didn't have the money for are
yeah.
quite easy for us to get now. And so we're all comparing each other's material things. And yeah, I think it's just so much easier. We all live a lot more open lives, which is great. I think, we're all seeing what each other's doing and going to Europe or going and doing this and
Mhm.
buying a house. And so you can keep up with everyone. But at the same time, nobody's really staying in their own lane and kind of focusing on their own goals. We're all
Yeah,
comparing ourselves to each other's.
100%. And there's so much to unpack there. And I'm going to start with a little
Yeah.
plug for the book saying, like Tash mentioned there, Redesign Your Mind, Tools and Inspiration for Positive Mental Health. It's on Amazon. You can get the paperback copy or Kindle, or you can listen to it on iTunes or Audible if you haven't had enough of my voice yet. So, but yeah, what we delve into in the book, and for me, um, there's so much to talk about in that, but I want to start by saying my day job is in finance. It's pretty easy to look me up. So I'm a financial advisor, and it's so challenging that a lot of my core work and core of growing up was about money. And I thought that money would provide security and status, and people would like me and things like that. And that was a big driver of my mental health challenges. And for me, redesigning what money means to me, and to my clients in work as well, that money is not what provides you with happiness. Money is an enabler, and we need enough money to, have a roof over our heads, to provide for our family, and hopefully enjoy ourselves a bit. But other than that, there's literally no proven study ever that shows that once you make over a certain amount of money or have a certain amount of money, that your happiness increases. And it actually decreases in proportion with the more wealth that you've got. And for me, that was a big challenge as well to redesign that. And I still, enjoy saving and investing and doing all of that. But I find that, like you mentioned before, we have so much choice with what to do with our money, which is also what makes it hard. I mean, I think back to when our parents were growing up, the average house might be, don't quote me, but it was a lot cheaper than what it is today.
Yeah.
So, someone could buy a house and then they could start a family. They might go on holiday every now and then, but the thing is now with, um, airfares and things have actually come down a lot in price, which
Mhm.
unfortunately enables us to want to do those things a lot more often than, when it costs $10,000 to fly to London, you might say, I'll do that
Yeah.
once a lifetime. So I guess that choice is something that really has been a challenge of mine, and I think it is for young people.
Mhm.
And I think that's where in my book, and you're obviously good at this as well. I talk about redesigning what is important to you. So, sure, we'd
Mhm.
all like to have the best car, the best house, holidays twice a year or whatever it is. But what's really important? What's nice to have? What do you need to have? So, I guess that's something, and you've lived that, that we can all take on board.
I agree. And I think, it's a bit morbid to say, but you can die tomorrow. And it's like, good luck. What does that money do for you, kind of thing? And yeah, I think all those material things wear off anyway. If you buy the flashy car, it's
Oh
great for the
yeah,
first month. And then a month later, it's like, oh, well, what's the next thing that's going to give me that instant joy that will wear off,
yeah,
And if you're not happy with yourself and who you are as a person, no matter what you buy, no matter what you purchase, is never going to fulfill that hole. So
oh yeah.
I think, unfortunately, in this society, yeah, we are so obsessed with this money and buying things and getting that instant gratification only for it to wear off. And it's like, if you strip back everything, if everything was taken away from you today, would you be okay? And if you
Yeah,
can honestly say, yeah, I could stand there and say, I'll be fine. I'm, a good person. These are my qualities. Um, then you're on the right track. But I think if you're really so hung up on your money and so hung up on that drive for, yeah, being money hungry, you're never going to be really, truly happy.
100%. And that material example as well, when I was down in the dumps and, I wasn't looking after myself, and I thought,
Mm.
you know what, I'm going to buy an expensive guitar that think it'll be great. It'll make me happy.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the guitar shop and I was so depressed playing this guitar. And it was like $4,000. And I'm like, oh, if I buy this, it might make me happy.
This will be the thing.
Yeah, and like you said,
Yeah.
like the penny, that's when the penny started to drop. I'm like, this is just my mind telling me that some possession is going to make me happy. Whereas, my guitar that I've got now, I can do all the same things. It's just not as
Mhm.
flashy or valuable. Um, and it's just going to make me think, all right, what next? And that ties in perfectly with something in the book that I talked about. Um, when are you going to be happy, and what are you waiting for, and
Mhm.
how we this is something I want to hear your thoughts on. But I think as a society as well, we've grown up, our generation, with a lot of success, and we
Mhm.
haven't, touch wood, had any wars or big plagues until COVID, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's all been about success and achievement, and I find that we would always achieve and then think, what's next as well. It wasn't something like our
Exactly.
parents, they would achieve something and that's great and they're content and happy. Um, our generation, you put that Instagram post or that post on Facebook saying, yeah, I graduated, so happy. Then it's all about, okay, now what job am I going to get? And then you get the job and it's about now what do I buy a house? And then you buy a house and you want a bigger house. And then, it
Mhm.
just goes on forever, and you're never going to be content if you keep moving those goalposts out. So, what's a way that you ground yourself and make sure that you don't fall into those traps?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And I think that I've changed my definition of happiness to
Yeah.
contentment, because I think that you're right. Happiness is kind of an unrealistic expectation that we all set there. We're never going to all be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Let's try and think about how we can be content. And I guess for me, it's a lot of, yeah, rewiring the way I think about things and the language I use and those kind of things. And you know, COVID's a great example because as I said, I've had some really, really rough days during COVID, but I've
Mm,
also had days where I'm sitting there with my dogs, a cup of coffee, a book, and I just think, this is
that's great.
okay. Like, this
Yeah.
would be fine. I could go on like this, and, I don't need to go to Europe tomorrow to be
Yeah.
happy. So I think for me, it's keeping a lot of perspective as well.
Yes.
As I said, sitting there, I'm thinking, I have food on the table. I have clean water coming through my taps. I have a roof over my head. Yeah, I think you sometimes just need to strip things back and be
Yeah.
like, this is okay. We're going to be okay. And yeah, I think contentment is just a far more realistic way to try and live your life than trying to strive for this unrealistic happiness that will waver. So yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's a lot more just focusing on, there's gonna not every. My mum used to say this to me all the time. She used to say, not every day is going to be sunshines and rainbows. A lot of life is just getting through, and every day just making sure that you're living the best life you can and trying to be
Yeah.
happy with that moment. So yeah, I think they're the kind of things that I try and think of on a daily basis to make sure that I'm, staying in that content zone rather than trying to get to this, real high all the time.
Yeah. No, 100%. Happiness, is an emotion, I guess, and
Mm,
content is you're happy with your life. And like you said, one thing
mm,
I've been doing recently as well, particularly because we can't travel and do a lot of these things, is trying to reflect more on some of those good times. So you talk about Europe and things like that. Um, I guess for anyone listening around the world, in Australia, going to Europe is kind of like a rite of passage that everyone wants to do. And then they get back and then they want to do it again. And from my UK followers, I know that all you guys just want to come to Australia. So
mm.
but
Yeah.
that's the perfect, story of how we just want
Yeah.
something that isn't what we've got. It's ridiculous to think that they're over
Mm,
there wanting to come here and saying how good
exactly.
we've got it, and then we all just want to go over there.
Yeah. You always want what you don't have.
Yeah, it's true.
And we've got to get to the point where it's like we're enough with what we've got. We don't always have to have, and it's, yeah. And there's always going to be someone that has it better than you, but there's always going to be somebody that has it worse than you. So trying to
Yeah,
stay in that, as I said before, trying to stay in your own lane, I think is really important. And yeah, that just helps shift that
yeah,
perspective, I think.
yeah, definitely. And I guess with that as well, you mentioned before about something on Instagram. You said, "Why don't I look like that?" And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, um, women, obviously body image is something that a lot of women struggle with. And I mean,
Hmm.
talking from my perspective as a man, I struggled with that too for a long time.
Mm.
That um
Yeah.
I wasn't the big strong muscly dude, and I went to
Hmm.
gym 5 6 times a week, and it was all about trying to get my body looking as good as it could, just to try and impress a girl. And it's taken me a long time to realize, but that doesn't mean anything to a girl. For any of the guys listening, it's all about your heart, and if you're funny, or you share the same interests and values, not about what you look like. Sure, you want to present yourself well and you want to be healthy,
Hmm.
but that mindset isn't really going to get you anywhere with that. But yeah, I guess for women, how do you find that social media and where we are today is really impacting mental health in women with body image?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's pretty awful. It's
Mm,
social media can be really tough to log into, especially if you're having one of those days where you're feeling, you don't look great in something, or you're feeling
yeah,
like you might have put on a bit of weight, and you log in there and all you see, as we've said, is everyone's highlight reels. And so
yeah,
it's them looking their best. And it's like, how many pictures, how many shots did it take to get that perfect one shot? And you
yeah,
look through and and I think we're all guilty of it to some extent, all
Yeah.
my friends will know, like, we'll have a photo together and I'll be like, no, I'm not happy with that one. I'm not posting that. I look horrible. Like,
Yeah.
and I think this is the thing, like, social media has put this unrealistic expectation on us all. And I think I kind of, through my teen years, was a little bit before, say, the big boom of Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that because I found it
Mm,
tough enough as it was as a teenage girl,
yeah.
trying to fit the body image and trying to keep up with everyone else. And I think I just couldn't imagine what it would be like to be a young teen now
Mm,
on Instagram and looking at all these people that are just, yeah, stick thin or, just the unrealistic a body shape that you just can't possibly get to because you're
yeah.
not built that way.
Yeah. Definitely.
And yeah, I think it's really tough. And yeah, I don't, I'm obviously going from a girl's perspective, and this is just my story from it and what I see. And I do think there are some great advocates out there for healthy body image, but
Mm,
unfortunately, I still just think there's way too much focus on this one ideal body shape and this
yeah.
one ideal image that we just can't get out of our head for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, definitely. And two things I want to say on that. One is, in a positive sense, what I redesigned in my mind was I said, right, now I'm not going to care what I look like. I'm going to care what my body feels like. And I'm going to do the
Yeah.
workouts that help my body and help me feel good. So it's a lot more yoga, walking, running, all of those, and a bit of strength training. So, it's making me feel good. And what you need to remember is that when you meet a partner or someone you like, it's not about what you look like in a body sense. That's just going to get you to the first couple of dates. It's all about your substance and how you guys connect.
Yeah.
So forget about
And
that.
that Yeah, and that body, image and the way you look is going to fade. You know what I mean? Like when you're 40 and 50, you're not going to look like what you were when you're 20, and you're not going to be able to get that body. So, you
Yeah,
know, don't hold on to that as the thing that's going to get you through life, and don't hold
yeah,
on to that as the thing that's going to get you a partner, because if that's what
yeah,
they're liking you for in a few years time when your things change,
yeah.
if they don't still like you for who you are as a person, then yeah, what's the point?
100%. And even with guys, like, from obviously as a young person going out and things like that, it's all about personality anyway. So,
Yeah.
I've got friends that were literally, they would say they were overweight or
Mm.
not good looking, but they would be the ones that all the girls or guys seem to like. So, it's how you
Exactly.
project, and more so even a bit of shallow how with this from that movie, like how you see yourself is how other people will see you. So if you go into a nightclub
Exactly.
or a party and you're confident and you're happy in your own skin, it won't matter what you actually look like. um, that's how people will see you. And just to add on that before I get your
Mm.
comments, as a guy as well, this is for guys and girls, there's someone for everyone. So, you
Mhm.
know, let's say I've got 10 close guy mates. They've all got different, um, I guess, things they like and characteristics in personality and in looks and things like that. So, you know, you can just look on social media or the internet, and you're going to find a wide range of what people like. I mean, there's some shocking things
Yeah.
people like. So the fact
Yeah.
that you don't look a certain type of um, or a certain size is a load of shit, because
Yeah.
there's someone out there that will like that different size. And there's some people, I've got, there's some people that won't like the super perfect body shape. And that's a fact, talking from friends. And if you don't believe me, think your own conversations with your friends. Um, you might have been talking about someone or something, and they might have been perfect, but someone in the room said, "Oh, I didn't like this about them," or, "I don't
Mhm.
like that," or "They're not my type." So, forget about trying to please other people. Just start pleasing yourself and making yourself feel good, and the rest will flow from there.
Yeah, 100% agree. And there's a few things there I want to add, and that's it. You know, I'm sorry to tell everyone, but nobody cares you do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going out to a bar or whatever, you're the one that everyone's going, like, you're the only one that's going to be so focused on what you look like and what you're doing. So kind of you need to get over this thing that everyone's judging you and looking at you and wondering what you're wearing and why you look a certain way. So yeah, just kind of, I think we just need to get over that obsession with kind of pleasing everyone else.
No one cares. Like, we all think, just think, whoever the biggest celebrity in the world, Kim Kardashian or whatever her name is,
Mm-hmm.
she literally gets talked about, and then it's on to the next story and on to the next person. So,
Exactly.
yeah, no one
Nobody's going to
cares.
remember. Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. And the other thing I want to add there is, if you're trying to attract a partner just for what they look like, I'm sorry, but what are you going to do all day, every day when you're with each other? Like, if that is all you're obsessed with, just sit there and look at each other, like, you need to have some more connection than that. And, I think COVID's a great example of that. Like, you can't be just obsessed with what they look like, because nobody's going to see you guys out together because you can't go do anything.
And they
Like, you
don't
need
look
to be
like
able
that.
to.
They don't look like that when they're not
Exactly.
on Instagram. Well, maybe
That's
speaking for
right.
myself, maybe on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's so true though. And
yeah,
and yeah, I think everyone's kind of got to get over this obsession with what we look like and being so focused on attracting that. Yeah, and another thing with you were saying that it's more about how you feel when you're exercising and things like that. That's such
yeah.
an important point to put out there, because I think for me, especially with COVID, like, I was like going to the gym every day. It was
Hmm.
really, that was my routine. I was pretty hung up on, I just used to freak out if I couldn't go to the gym. And then suddenly that was just taken away. And it was like, I
Yeah,
haven't been to a gym in 6 months, and that was actually quite tough for me, because I was like, how am I going to stay fit? How am I going to stay like looking the way I do? I'm going to put on so much weight. And it
yeah,
caused me quite a bit of stress and anxiety to start with, because I was like, that's my whole exercise
yeah.
routine
That's your
changed. And
meaning.
exactly. And so, I had to get to a point where I let that go and thought, okay, well, I'm just going to have to do other things then. And so, I just go for runs or walks and do workouts at home. And yeah, you've got to shift. You can't get hung up on those things, because it can just be, as you said before, you can get an injury or something like that, and it's all
Mm.
taken away from you. So you kind of got to focus more on, other things other than just how you look, but more about how you feel and how you can, focus
I
on what
think
you're
there's a
doing.
good lesson in this for life as well. Like
Hmm.
it's something that we got to get better at as a society, and talking particularly to young people like us, that you're going to
Hmm.
have to learn to be able to pivot, and you're going to have to be
Yeah.
able to learn to be flexible. So these
Hmm.
things are only going to happen more and more for the rest of our lives. Our parents, they might have picked a job or a career path, and that was pretty much it. But chances are a lot of the jobs that are out today won't even exist in 20 years' time. So we got to be developing that mindset that we're able to change and learn and grow. And hey, the gym's closed. No worries. I'll watch a YouTube video today, and then I'll do yoga tomorrow. I'll do an online class tomorrow, or the next day, so I feel part of things. There's so much you can do, and um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that to wrap up?
Yeah. I agree, because I think that, life is so unpredictable. You
Yeah,
honestly don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think that's something that COVID's shown everyone, is that suddenly nobody has control over this situation. Nobody
yeah,
know. And for me, that was really hard, because I'm a bit of a control freak. And so
yeah,
I was like, I can't plan anything. I can't plan what I'm going to do next weekend. I can't plan what I'm going to do in a month. I don't know where I'm going to be.
yeah,
Um, and so, yeah, you really need to get to a point where you say, okay, I'm just going to take a day at a time, take it as it comes. And as you say, be able to pivot and be able to be flexible and, you know, just, yeah, just be able to change when things change for you too. And yeah, it can be really hard. And I think that we're so lucky nowadays because we are pretty good at being able to plan things and do whatever we want and have all this freedom. But as COVID's shown, that can be taken away in an instant and you can
Yeah.
be put back to, yeah, having no control over what you're doing or what you can plan and who you can see. So,
And the same
really good
goes for
point.
possessions as well. So,
Exactly.
we can plan, as a financial planner, yeah, we'll plan, we'll do what
Yeah.
we can, but don't hinge your happiness on it. It can all go tomorrow. So value the family and friendships and what's important to you. So hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was a really good chat, Tash. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah.
We filled up the
No, thank
time
you.
pretty quickly. I didn't even get to half the agenda. We might have to continue another time.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me on. It was a really good chat. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, I'll put Tasha's Instagram in the bio if you want to get in contact. But otherwise, thanks for listening, guys. So that was my chat with Tash. Um, Great conversation with another young mental health advocate. Some real key messages there. Um, get help if you need it. There's no shame in seeing a psychologist or a counselor or a coach. And also, um, no one cares, about your body image or how you look. So, do it for yourself and try not to spend too much time on social media and paying attention to other people's highlight reels. Thanks for listening, guys.